Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today we're going to be talking to Rod Khief, and he's going to be sharing with us the lessons he learned from losing $50 million in the last real estate crash and the exact strategies he used to build it all back again. This is going to be a massive dose of motivation on how we can all win in today's tough market and have the best year we've ever had. As always, if you have any questions, put them in the box down below. Make sure you check out the links in the description. And if you like money and you like real estate, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you on the inside.
Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs.
All right. Rod, welcome back to Founders Club.
Oh, it's great to be here, brother. It's way too long, man. And I forgot you were in San Diego. I was just in San Diego, probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 weeks ago, because I went to Tijuana and got the stem cell shots. You know, the place Joe
Oh,
Rogan
yeah.
talks about. Yeah, I got the
Yep.
shots in my knees, which has been great. I need to go back again, so I'll definitely ping you when I come back.
Yeah, I'd love to catch up, man. That'd be awesome. Definitely hit me
Yeah,
up when you're in town.
will do.
Um, so Rod is a longtime friend, big time multifamily investor. You've done small deals, you've done big deals. You've had a roller coaster ride of building wealth, losing everything, building it back up again. And so just really excited to have you on today to just kind of go deep on different strategies that we can use in today's market, which we all know is a bit wonky. And
Well,
we can just jump right in. You've been in the game long enough to see the ups and downs of markets like this. So why don't we talk for a second on just how we can strategically approach winning in a market like this?
Well, that's a great thing to talk about. And as you may have heard briefly, or if you saw me interviewed before, in 2006, my net worth went up $17 million while I slept, and I thought I was a freaking real estate god. You do the math on that; it's like $8,300 an hour, and I thought I could do no wrong. Well, in 2008, I lost everything. I lost $50 million conservatively. And so what I teach really at my boot camps and really on my podcast is the mindset it took to have 50 million to lose in the first place, but probably more importantly is the mindset it took and the strategies it took to recover from that. And they're the same strategies you'd want to use to get started if you're thinking about, building a side hustle to do real estate and do this on the side. And so let me give you some of the data points with this. The first thing is goal setting. You got to figure out what it is you want. Like if you come to one of my boot camps, and I'll give you guys a great deal if you want to come for literally $47. You can come to one of my 2-day virtual boot camps, and I don't sell anything there, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But the first thing we do is goal setting on steroids, because how do you get anything if you don't know what it is? You got to know what it is you want. So it starts with doing the goals and creating that hunger, as it were, or what Napoleon Hill in his book Think and Grow Rich calls a burning desire. You got to want it. And so it starts with goal setting. And then and so that's what I did when I lost everything last time. And if you're looking at this wonky market, you got to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. Like if you're in the real estate business already and you're struggling, get double down on your goals, double down on your whys, put those in your mind's eye. And I'll tell you why in a minute. It relates to focus, but let me say a couple other things first. After you've done the goals, then you've got to make a decision. And I don't mean dip your toe in the water. I don't mean 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You decide it is freaking done. Okay. And once you've made a decision, you're committed. And when you're committed, you're like a train on a track. And if you're not committed, you're going to get knocked off track, and so you've got to make a decision. So again, if you're in the space now, or you want to get into the space, you just got to make a decision. Hey, I'm going to go kick ass at this, or whatever it's going to take. That's the decision. And I'm all in. If I got to make 100 calls a day, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever it is, you make that decision. And the Latin root for the word decision means to cut off. Like for a great example of a decision would be if you're going to attack the island, you burn your ships because you're taking their ships home. It's freaking done. That's a decision. Then the next thing is you got to take the first step. You got to take a step. And that could be the biggest step of your life. Dr. Martin Luther King says you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. But you got to take that step. A lot of people get caught in analysis paralysis. Their fear of failure, for example. And I'm going to tell you, fear regret a lot more than failure. Here's the thing to remember. You can drive all the way across the United States at night with your headlight only seeing 50 feet in front of you. You may have some obstacles, but other people have done it before you, and you'll make it. And that's the same way with any goal that you target. And so you got to remember that. Don't get caught in analysis paralysis, and don't have any regrets. There was this nurse in Australia, Oliver, that was a hospice nurse. And so she took care of patients when they were about to die. And she asked him a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book about it, something like The 5 Regrets of Dying or something like that. It's a bestseller. But the number one regret was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. So if you're languishing right now, you're already in the real estate business, pay attention. Get off your butt. We don't want any regrets. Get focused on what you want, not what you don't want, and take massive freaking action. And so let's talk about focus for a second, because whatever you focus on is going to get bigger. So if you're focused on how bad things are, that's going to get bigger. I get people call me and say, how do I get out of student loan debt? And I'm like, wrong freaking question. How do you make so much money that the debt's irrelevant is the question you want to ask. They asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace, right? Kind of the same thing. I get excited because my podcast is probably approaching 30 million downloads. And I bring that up not to brag, but I listen to 2 podcasts. I listen to Joe Rogan and I listen to Tim Ferriss. So I get both sides of the aisle. I'm definitely more on one side, and it's not this color, by the way. But on Tim Ferriss's show, I love the conversation. I love the dialogue because he interviews the best of the best in the world. And, the best athletes, Michael Phelps, NFL, NBA players, best actors, Hugh Jackman, Ed Norton, Arnold, Jamie Foxx, whatever. And best billionaires like Ray Dalio, CEOs of the biggest companies like Zuckerberg. And he deconstructs their success. It's fascinating conversation. But I started to hear a pattern, Oliver. They almost all meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus. So focus is super important. And, I don't know about you, but I'll be watching Netflix and scrolling through my stupid social media, which kills your focus. Focus, the most successful people on the planet have the highest degree of focus. So pay attention to that, and remember that what you focus on gets stronger, which is why your goals are so important. Keep those in your mind's eye, not what you're worried about or fear or dealing with. And then you got to play to your strengths. I talked about how my business, the multifamily space, is a team sport. You got to play to your strengths, and don't try to build your weaknesses. When you're playing to your strengths, you're loving what you're doing, and you're never going to work another day in your life, and you're going to be passionate about it. And passion is required to influence people. And so, focus on what you're strong at. And I tell my students, hire, align, or partner for your weaknesses. Okay. And when you do that, and these are the best combinations of people I see in my warrior program, where they own 260,000 units. And most of those were done between warriors, by the way. But in that program, the most successful ones I see are the ones where you've got an analytical person combined with an outgoing person. That's a match made in heaven, playing to their strengths. Because, when you're playing to your strengths, that passion breeds innovation. It breeds creativity. And when you have a speed bump, it doesn't derail you. It just, you just move past it because you're playing to your strengths and you're loving what you're doing. And then a couple other quick things. One is your peer group. If a lot of people, let me talk about fear and limiting beliefs first. So what is fear? F everything and run. That's what it is for a lot of people. I will tell you, I think it's false evidence appearing real, because we really just fear the emotion of fear. But I will tell you that, I like to think that it's face everything and rise, because the most successful people on the planet have fear, and they just push through in spite of it. And as achievers, we call it stress, but it's fear, and we push through in spite of it. And, anytime that I have stress or fear, even if it's in the middle of the night, I will get up and do something, because action mitigates fear. And if you do anything towards it, it mitigates it. And successful people know this. And so, you want to, that's how you push through it. You just take action, and that's how you deal with fear. And the other thing is limiting beliefs. I'm a Dutch immigrant. I immigrated this country when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother's Vansha, got thrown into school, found out what bullies were for the first time. And it's funny, I've got my props right here because I'm doing my boot camp tomorrow. I got thrown into school, and my mom sent me to school for show and tell with these freaking wooden shoes on and these leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. So I got my ass kicked again. And then, the bullies would chase me home from school, and she'd chase them off with a fly swatter. So the next day, ass kicking. Well, I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough. It's like, how can I show them I'm good enough? Because I got beat up. And then I had this experience with this little girl I had a crush on at school, and she embarrassed me in front of some other kids. Just the same stupid stuff everybody deals with. But I came up with this limiting belief system that I wasn't good enough. And a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not courageous enough. I'm not analytical enough. That was another one of mine. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. And listen, here's the thing you remember. There's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are BS. But, we believe they're real. So if you have one of these limiting BS belief systems, drag it out into the daylight. Look at it with your adult rational mind. You'll see that it's BS, and it'll start to dissipate and go away. I mean, I used to be afraid to raise my hand in front of a class with 10 kids, and now I speak in front of thousands of people a year, freaking flip-flops on. I don't care, and it's because I dealt with that limiting belief.
Hey there, I just have a quick favor to ask. If you're getting value from Founders Club and you're watching on YouTube, just give us a like, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a 5-star review. These things are free to do, and it really helps the channel, and it also helps us be able to bring better guests for you in the future. Now back to the episode.
This just a couple more things. One is peer group.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, who you hang out with is who you become. And you show me your 3 best friends, I'll show you your life, your happiness, your health, and definitely your finances. And so choose carefully. And here's the problem. You know this, Oliver. Most people default to a peer group they went to school with or that they work with. And sometimes those people, out of their own fear or limiting beliefs, will hold you back. Fear of losing you, fear of feeling like they're less than if you succeed. And sometimes it's family. And I'm going to tell you, love your family, but proactively choose your peers, who you allow to influence you, which is why this group like that warrior group of mine is so powerful. You want to get in a group like that, go to your local meetup groups, find people that want more out of life, because a rising tide lifts all ships. And don't let people that squash your dreams. And it's so easy to squash your dreams. It's so super important who you hang out with. I remember when I was losing everything in 2008 and 9, I think I met with you not long after that, Oliver. If I don't remember when we first met, but regardless,
I think it was a war room, but
it
probably
was a war
somewhere
room.
around there.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. It was the digital marketers war room. Anyway, but when 08 and 09 happened, I was in Tony Robbins' Platinum Partnership. Okay. So, as you and I, we both believe in masterminds, and that was another mastermind like War Room. And I was around people that were killing it in that crash. Okay. They were freaking thriving. And they're like, get up, you puss, 50 million schmillion, get up and make something happen. That's who you want to be around in a time like this, when things are wonky. Get around people that are motivated, that have goals in their mind's eye, that will go out there and make things happen, because they will, again, a rising tide lifts all ships. I used to have the largest multifamily mastermind really in the world. It was probably about 40 or 50 billion in assets represented by the members, but I gave up on it because it was like herding cats to do it. But I set it up because I wanted to be around people that thought what I thought was hard was easy. And that's who you want to be around. People that think what you think is hard is easy. And so, and I will tell you, the last thing I'll mention is don't fear failure. Like I said, fear regret. Problems are feedback, and you're going to have problems, but you learn from them. Like if you come to my boot camp, on Monday, you'll get a survey from me. And of course, 99.9% of the comments are positive. We just did this thing because let's talk about integrity for a second, because I'll give you some background on this. And why I bring this up. So about 20 years ago, I had this sham lawsuit filed against me. And that lawsuit, because it made the news, led to an investigation by the Florida Attorney General here. He had political aspirations. He was running for governor. And it was a real scary time. Now, I was completely exonerated. I was completely cleared of any wrongdoing in that investigation. But I learned a couple of important things. Number one is have integrity. And the other one, of course, is have a great contracts attorney. But every so often, just recently, for example, that's why I bring this up. I had a so-called investigative journalism piece pop up on this sham website, trying to discredit me. It's probably a competitor. I can't even remember the name of it, but they tried to make me look bad, making all sorts of BS claims. There was no truth in it at all. But this stuff pops up for me every couple of years. Somebody's got an axe to grind, but I turn it into a teaching opportunity for my students, and it's very rarely that I get someone commenting negatively about me, of their supposed experience with me. For example, I've had 15,300 people attend my boot camps. And I think we went online and searched because we saw this nasty article. We found 14 quasi complaints after 15,000 attendees, which is like staggeringly low. Yeah. 14.
Pretty good ratio.
Thank you. Yeah. Even with that minuscule number of complaints, I take complaints very seriously. And it's interesting. We looked up 99% of the time we look up those people, they've never done business with us, so there's no record of them. So like I said, they're likely competitors or this.
And they've probably never done a deal either.
That's right. But, here's the bottom line. When you get into this business, or any business for that matter, it's important to operate with integrity and, of course, get competent legal help. But integrity is the number one core value in all my businesses, like I know it is in yours as well. And so, you do what's right, even if it hurts, right? And that'll help insulate you from some of the BS that, that we have to deal with. I mean, I get hate every single day, and I guess that's a sign of success, but I get way more love. But it's kind of crazy, this world we live in with the social media and everything, and the ability to try to trash people. But anyway, I bring that up because that's an example of problems, and problems are feedback, and that's how you learn and you grow. And I guess the last thing I'll talk about, which I think I talked about the first time we interviewed, but it's so freaking important. And you might think it's foofy, but trust me, it's not. And that's gratitude. You can't be stressed and fearful when you're grateful. And gratitude's the most important foundational emotion we have available to us. It lowers our immune system. It strengthens our lowers our blood pressure. Strengthens our immune system, lowers our blood pressure. It's brings us closer to our spirituality. And candidly, it's how you manifest everything you want in your life. You do it with gratitude. Like most mornings, I'll sit in my recliner and I'll just be grateful for the people in my life, my foundation, my students, my warriors. And I'll just do gratitude. But then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. And I've even gotten emotional being grateful for things that I don't even have yet. I know I lost some of you analytical ones on that one, but listen, ignore this at your peril. This is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. Because it works. That's how you manifest through. You could call it prayer if you prefer, but it's really, utilizing gratitude. And the last thing I'll mention, Oliver, but I've kind of monopolized the conversation here, but this is a great example, I think, for people, especially in this time. And when I immigrated, I ended up in Denver, Colorado. But I knew I wanted to live on the beach, and there's no beach in Denver. But luckily, my dad worked for Continental Airlines, so we flew to Hawaii a couple times, in LA, and I got to see the beach, and so I got to visualize it. So for 20 years, I visualized the palm trees, the surf, the sand, and 20 years later, I built this incredible mansion on the beach. And it was, just to describe it, I owned the beach on one side, I had my boats on the backside. It was called a Gulf to Bay. It was like a slice through an island, big spiral staircase up to the middle. There was a giant waterfall from the second floor balcony into the pool. You had to walk through the waterfall to get to the pool, pools and magazines, and wine cellar, elevator. I'll land the plane with this. On the second floor, I had aquariums built around the staircase, custom, that cost me almost $200,000. So this gives you an idea of the house. Well, I worked for this thing for 20 years. 2 months after I moved in, 2 months, 20 years, 2 months, I'm floating in the pool at night and I'm looking up at this testament to my ego. It was really what it was. It was to prove to the freaking world I was good enough. I mean, if that didn't do it, forget it. Okay. And, my family's inside sleeping. And I'm floating in this pool looking up at this thing, and I got depressed. And I don't mean a little depressed. I mean, I got really depressed. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And when I look back on it, Oliver, there were 3 things going on. The first thing is you should never achieve a big goal. This goes back to the goal conversation. You should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. So because like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You need a vision for the future. So that's number 1. Number 2 is it's never about the goals. Okay. In fact, if you haven't done your goals recently, go to rodslinks.com. That's my link tree, rodslinks.com. At the bottom is my goal setting workshop. It's got a guide you can download. most people spend more time planning a freaking birthday party than they do designing their lives. That's designing your life. Spend an hour with me. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. Have your spouse do it. If your kid's over 10 years old, have them do it. Again, rodslinks.com, and there's a goal setting workshop. Or better yet, come to my boot camp and we do it together live. But regardless, you don't want to achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it, but it's never about the goals. You got to have them to create that burning desire and that hunger. But the reality is, the happiest days of a boat owner's life, for example, the day they buy the boat and the day they sell the boat, right? You need them. But it's the same example like my big house. I spent 20 years for that. 2 months after that, I'm like, okay, now I'm depressed. But it was because of the lack of here's the thing, it's because of the lack of progress. That's the second piece. Happiness comes from progress and growth, not from the goals. So and if you do my goal setting workshop, at the end of that, I do my weekly planning process. It's only about an hour and 15 minutes total, but that planning process is how I managed two very large companies at the same time. It's very powerful. But one of the pieces of that is to acknowledge what you got done the previous week. Because again, happiness comes from progress and growth. But the big thing, Oliver, and I'll land the plane with this. The big thing was I was totally focused on Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. And that's the year I met Tony Robbins. and I went and saw him. This is 25 years ago. I was 40 years old. And I found out that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, what a concept, do something for someone else. I'm embarrassed to say I had to be 40 to get that memo. But I called my brother in Denver and I like, bro, let's feed 5 families for Thanksgiving, because I was going there for Thanksgiving. So he called his church, found 5 families that really needed help. And we bought food and toys for their kids and frozen turkey and all that stuff. And the third family changed my life, brother. We go up to this house and it was like a 1-bedroom shack. And there was a Hispanic woman in there with 5 kids. And it wasn't even a 1-bedroom. It was this, because you had to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which had the bathroom. It was just a real crappy old place. But she comes out, she sees all this stuff on the porch. She starts crying. Her kids come out, 2 of the older ones start crying. I start crying and I'm hooked. And please know what I'm going to share now is not ego. There's a real message in this. So don't tune this out. Okay. Important message if you want success. So in the last 25 years, I have fed over 150,000 children here in my area for the holidays, and I've done tens of thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. We just ordered 2,000 for August. I've done thousands and thousands and teddy bears for the local police department. So their officers to keep in a vehicle. If they encounter a child, they can comfort the child, a child that's been in a traumatic situation. And I don't bring that up to brag. Tony Robbins, who's one of my mentors, calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement's a science. You want to learn something, go learn it. And if you want to learn multifamily, for example, get your butt to my boot camp. I'll talk about that in a second. You can come for $47. So there's no freaking excuse, and I don't sell anything there. But achievement's a science. I'll give you the roadmap. I'll give you the blueprint. You just gotta go do it. Okay. But fulfillment is an art. Okay. Like for me, I love children. I also love the elderly, which is why I'm doing senior housing. But maybe you love the environment or you love animals, whatever it is, give back right now. Don't say, oh yeah, Rod, you had money, that's why you gave back. Well, that's how I got the money, by giving back, because that's how God works. That's power moves to those who serve. So figure out a way to give back right now to something that juices you. And not only will you be fulfilled, whatever you want's going to come to you faster. That's just how it works. So
I love that. Damn, you just mic drop. You were on fire there.
Yeah, got a little excited. Thanks
No,
thanks
dude,
for humoring me.
no, that's awesome. So
Well, let me
couple things
mention my
you
boot
said.
camp if you don't mind before I
Yeah,
forget, because I'll forget.
yeah.
So I've got a virtual event coming up. I don't have the dates right here, but if you go to that rodslinks.com, and you'll see the boot camp site there. Don't make sure you use the code. What's the code again? We agreed on it. Founders. Use the code founders and you'll get $47 price. It comes with like $3,000 in bonuses. I mean, there are no excuses. I've cut out all excuses. Okay. $47. I don't sell anything there. So it's 16 hours of training with nothing being sold. You'll leave knowing how to find deals, evaluate deals, underwrite deals, pick an area, evaluate the area, raise all the money you need for your deals, syndicate, joint ventures, finance, property management. And I spent 20 years with Tony Robbins, and I spend a lot of time on mindset, because that's 80 to 90% of your success in anything, which is why my students are so freaking successful. And I mean, you'll leave so motivated, you'll be coming out of your skin. But again, rodslinks.com, use the code founders for that $47 deal. And I promise you'll be glad you came. The
And yeah, and
only
I will
complaint we
give
ever
you.
get is that the breaks are too short because I'm packing in so much information. That's it.
Yeah, no, I like it. And I will give an unsolicited testimonial. I think that I went to one of your boot camps, I want to say probably 5 years ago,
Oh, no
roughly.
kidding.
And it was
Wow.
great, man. What you
Thank you.
do, the knowledge you give, like anyone that's seriously considering going into the multifamily space, Rod's the guy. I mean, he covers everything from A to Z. Like he said, he doesn't sell anything. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not a pitch fest. And what I really like is that you cover kind of all the stuff you just mentioned, with the goal setting, the
Hmm.
setting the big vision and all that kind of stuff, which, like
Yeah.
you said, is what really kind of gets the fire going for people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest piece. I mean, that's why you don't see a lot of wealthy college professors or librarians out there. It's the do and it's the keep doing. But,
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that. So you covered a lot there. A couple things that I love that you said. Obviously about the goals and building a big vision for the future, and um, having that peer group, the limiting beliefs and the fear, and being able to bust through that stuff. Being able to live in a space of gratitude, because gratitude just is a magnet for positive things in your life. Um, so let's kind of stay on that track and really kind of give the motivation to succeed in a tough market and to really be able to bust through. Like, what would your advice be to those people that, maybe they're top producers, but they've kind of gotten knocked off their horse a little bit, or they're newer in the business and they're just having a hard time
It,
getting traction? Like, what
It's
what would you what
everything.
would your
It's
advice?
everything I just said, brother. It's everything I just said. It's get associated with your goals again. Figure out what juices you. Figure out why those goals are an absolute must. Get your butt to Rod's links and watch my goal setting workshop. Go through it with me. There's a guide you can download. Get motivated again. That's what's going to do it. Create that hunger again, and then make a decision and decide how you're going to go kick ass in this slower market. Do more phone calls, more reaching out, more marketing, whatever it is, and get around people that are making it happen. Push through the fear. Stay focused. That's it. That's it. It's the stuff we just went through, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to echo that sentiment about the peer group, because while there are a lot of people out there that are, having a tougher time with the market today, there's also people that I'm talking to every day that are having the best year that they've ever had. People that are doing 25% more than they've done the last few years. And it's because they're the ones not making excuses. They're the ones that are grinding it out and here for it for the long term. And not only are they winning now, but they're planting all the seeds to be winning, when the market does shift back again.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So in terms of just strategy, like, how has your strategy changed in today's market versus maybe what you were doing 4 or 5 years ago?
Well, like I said, I'm also massively exploring senior housing. We've got a property under contract in Pittsburgh. We're looking at properties all over the country now. So I'm doing that. So again, I'm an opportunist,
Mhm.
but much more conservative right now. Lots more operating reserves. We're collecting and raising when we do a deal. Just being super conservative. That's all. But getting excited, getting in as much cash as we can, or access to as much cash as we can, because I believe the proverbial, what's about to hit the fan. There's going to be incredible opportunities.
Mm. So, okay, so I want to talk about those two things. I want to talk about the opportunities, and I want to talk about, you said you're raising money right now, which I think
Hmm.
is very smart.
Hmm.
Are you seeing that there is we'll come to that in a second. In terms of opportunities, like, I like that you're shifting, right? You've always been kind of the multifamily guy. That's been your bread and butter for so many years. But as that starts to, face its new challenges, you're kind of shifting gears into senior housing,
Hmm.
which I think you and I both agree is going to be a massive opportunity, a massive market
Yeah, I'm
for
teaching
years to
that to my
come.
students too. I'm teaching that to my students as well. So I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So is that kind of the opportunity that you see right now? And
Well,
and then
yeah.
in addition to that, like, the office market has obviously gotten absolutely decimated. Do you think that comes back? Because I've kind of my own theories around
No.
office at the moment, and
I
what we
don't
can
think
do
it
with
comes
it.
back. I don't think it comes back. There's going to be alternate uses. People are doing conversions and things of that nature. Storage, multifamily is difficult because you got a lot of interior windows, but they are doing data centers, things like that. But no, I don't think it's coming back. And I know multifamily opportunity is coming. I'm certain of it because there's this debt wall that they're going to have to deal with eventually. But yeah, no, I think there's going to be incredible opportunity in multiple asset classes, and like senior housing, and multifamily, mobile home parks. I love those asset classes right now for sure.
Mobile home parks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just had Kevin Bupp on the show. He's obviously,
Oh,
I'm
he's
sure you.
he's one of my best friends. He's one of my best
Yeah.
friends. He's total integrity. He has raised probably $250,000, maybe more than that, for my foundation. Yeah,
Oh,
because I
wow.
started. Yeah, yeah. For the thing that I described where I feed people. Yeah, he does this bike ride to Key West. He's just a wonderful human being.
He
Actually,
is.
he
Yeah.
actually he
He's
actually
great.
worked for me when he first got going in real estate. He was my leasing agent. But
Really
yeah, but he's a wonderful
small
guy.
world.
Wonderful. He's a wonderful, incredibly intelligent guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And seems to be absolutely killing it in the
Oh no,
in the
they're killing it.
mobile home space.
My brother worked with him for multiple years. Hey,
Okay.
buddy, I'm bumping up against a time thing here. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah. No worries at all, Rod.
Okay.
Anything you want to leave us with in terms of what's coming up for you and what to look out
No, I
for?
mean, I think I've talked about it. I'm excited. You should get excited. And again, if you're struggling, go through that sequence of things I talked about. That'll help you get back on. That's how I recovered from losing 50 million. That's it right there. So, you can do it. And the key is to get focus on what you want. And those are the people that are killing it right now. Those are the ones that are doing it. They're not letting the fear slow them down. So don't let it slow you down. Brother, it's great to see you. I will definitely ping you when I'm back in San Diego, which should be in the next 30 days or so. Okay.
Yeah, most definitely. Looking
All
forward to
right.
catching up. And as always, if you
Likewise.
like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Rod.
Thanks, brother.